The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy is a book about how success and failure are not created by big moments, luck, or dramatic change, but by small choices repeated consistently over time. The main idea is that tiny actions, when done every day, compound just like interest in a bank account. At first, the growth is invisible and unimpressive, which is why most people quit too early or chase shortcuts. But over time, those small actions build momentum and eventually create massive differences in health, wealth, relationships, confidence, and overall life direction. Hardy's argument is that every result you are experiencing right now, whether positive or negative, can be traced back to habits and decisions you made repeatedly in the past, even if you didn't notice them at the time. The book emphasizes personal responsibility and rejects the idea that circumstances or other people are the main drivers of outcomes. Instead, it teaches that awareness, discipline, and consistency are the real forces behind lasting success. The compound effect works whether you believe in it or not. It is always operating. Small bad habits compound into poor health, debt, broken relationships, and low self-esteem, while small good habits compound into energy, confidence, financial security, skills, and opportunities. The problem is that the effects are delayed. When you eat junk food today, nothing obvious happens. When you skip exercise today, nothing obvious happens. When you waste an hour scrolling or procrastinating, nothing obvious happens. Because there is no immediate punishment, people assume the behavior is harmless. But over months and years, those small choices add up into big consequences. The same is true on the positive side. Reading 10 pages a day, saving a small amount of money, making one extra sales call, or choosing water instead of soda doesn't feel life-changing in the moment. The payoff is boring and invisible at first, but eventually the gap between those who stuck with small positive habits and those who didn't becomes enormous. Hardy begins by stressing that success is predictable. It is not mysterious. If you look at someone's daily routine, habits, and choices, you can accurately predict where they will be in 5 or 10 years. People tend to think success happens suddenly, like an overnight breakthrough, but what they're actually seeing is the visible result of years of invisible effort. This misunderstanding causes people to look for shortcuts, hacks, and quick fixes. They jump from program to program, diet to diet, business idea to business idea, hoping for something that will finally work without requiring patience. The compound effect rejects shortcuts entirely. Hardy argues that shortcuts either don't exist or lead to short-term gains followed by long-term damage. Sustainable success always follows the same boring formula: small, smart choices repeated consistently over a long period of time. A major theme of the book is awareness. Most people live on autopilot. They repeat habits without thinking about them and then feel confused or frustrated by the results they get. Hardy explains that you cannot change what you are not aware of. The first step toward improvement is tracking your behaviors honestly. This includes tracking how you spend your time, what you eat, how much money you spend, what media you consume, and how you respond emotionally to situations. Writing things down forces clarity. It removes self-deception. Many people believe they eat pretty healthy or don't waste much time until they track their behavior and see the truth on paper. Awareness alone often creates change, because once you see your habits clearly, it becomes harder to justify continuing harmful ones. Hardy emphasizes that choice is the starting point of everything. You are always making choices, even when you think you are not. Choosing not to decide is still a decision. Every choice, no matter how small, puts you on a path. One unhealthy meal doesn't ruin your health, and one workout doesn't transform it, but each choice moves you slightly in one direction or another. Over time, those directions diverge drastically. The book encourages readers to become deliberate with their choices instead of reactive. This means deciding in advance what kind of person you want to be and what habits support that identity.
When you define your values and goals clearly, daily choices become easier because you are not deciding from scratch each time. You are simply acting in alignment with who you have chosen to become. Momentum is another key idea. Small habits are hard at first because they feel pointless and require effort without visible reward. But once momentum builds, those same habits become easier and even automatic. Hardy compares this to pushing a heavy flywheel. At the beginning, it takes a lot of effort to get it moving, and it barely turns. But if you keep pushing consistently, it eventually gains speed, and then it takes less effort to keep it spinning. Many people quit right before momentum kicks in. They mistake the early difficulty for failure, when in reality it is just the normal resistance that comes before growth. The compound effect rewards those who stay consistent long enough for momentum to take over. The book also addresses the importance of environment and influence. Hardy explains that you are constantly being shaped by what you allow into your life, including the people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the physical spaces you occupy. He introduces the idea that you become the average of the influences around you. If you spend time with people who complain, make excuses, and settle for mediocrity, their mindset will slowly become yours, even if you believe you are immune. The same is true for positive influences. Being around disciplined, optimistic, growth-oriented people raises your standards naturally. Hardy encourages readers to audit their influences and intentionally reduce exposure to negativity while increasing exposure to content and people that support their goals. This includes limiting news, social media, and entertainment that drains energy or reinforces fear and distraction. Hardy strongly emphasizes discipline over motivation. Motivation is emotional and unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is a system. It is the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. The compound effect depends on discipline because consistency is impossible without it. Hardy reframes discipline as self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. Every time you break a promise, you weaken that identity. Over time, these self-trust deposits compound just like habits do. People with strong discipline are not stronger or more talented. They have simply trained themselves to act in alignment with their goals, even when it's uncomfortable. The book also discusses the role of tracking and measurement in sustaining progress. What gets measured gets managed. Hardy explains that professional athletes, successful businesses, and high achievers track performance obsessively, while average people rely on vague feelings and assumptions. Tracking creates feedback, and feedback creates improvement. Whether it's tracking workouts, calories, spending, hours worked, or sales calls, the act of measurement brings focus and accountability. Hardy stresses that this is not about perfection, but about awareness and progress. Seeing small improvements over time reinforces consistency and helps maintain motivation even when results are slow. Another major idea in the book is the danger of instant gratification. Modern society encourages comfort, convenience, and immediate pleasure. The compound effect requires the opposite, delaying gratification in favor of long-term rewards. Hardy explains that successful people are willing to do things that are uncomfortable now so they can enjoy comfort later, while unsuccessful people seek comfort now and pay for it later with stress, regret, and limitation. This trade-off is unavoidable. Every choice is either an investment or a cost, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Choosing short-term pleasure repeatedly compounds into long-term pain, while choosing short-term discomfort compounds into long-term freedom. Hardy also addresses the idea of big breaks and luck. While he acknowledges that opportunities and timing matter, he argues that what looks like luck is usually preparation meeting opportunity. People who benefit from lucky breaks are almost always those who have been building skills, habits, and relationships consistently behind the scenes. When the opportunity arrives, they are ready to capitalize on it. Those who rely on luck without preparation either miss opportunities or waste them. The compound effect creates readiness, and readiness attracts opportunity. The book explains that failure is not a single event, but a process, just like success. People rarely fail suddenly. They fail slowly, through small acts of neglect, compromise, and rationalization. Skipping one workout, spending a little more than planned, or avoiding a difficult conversation doesn't feel like failure, but repeated over time, these choices lead to predictable decline. Hardy encourages readers to view setbacks as feedback rather than defeat. The compound effect works in both directions, and just as small negative habits compound into failure, small corrective actions can reverse course if applied consistently. Hardy also emphasizes standards. Your standards determine your behaviors. If your standard is good enough, your habits will reflect that. Raising your standards does not mean being unrealistic or perfect, but it does mean deciding what you will and will not tolerate from yourself.